It's better to be single with a standard than losing yourself for approval. Now, if you guys don't know what this means, basically today's story does get really insane. And honestly, to this day, it blows my mind how this even ended up happening. But today's story will blow your mind, so let's just get straight into it. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place back when I was in high school. Honestly, I usually say this because everything happens in high school. Like, seriously, if you're in high school right now, comment down below. Because you guys would know, every day in high school is like an adventure. Unless you're one of those kids that sit in the corner, puts their head in the sand, and just focuses on doing work, which honestly, partially, I believe I should have done, but you know what? It is what it is. Anyways, going on, basically, I remember back when I was in high school, this was my grade 11 year, and I had a girlfriend. Funny enough, I had a girlfriend for like 2 months, and the reason it was so short is because, well, me and her didn't really ever work out. And by that, I mean, while we were dating, me and her, we just kept doing the devil's tango. We're not actually, you know, going on dates or doing anything. We mostly just liked each other because of our bodies, which honestly is gross, but at the same time, I mean, hey, what can I say? You know, she got nice cherries. Going on though, I remember basically I really wanted to one time actually like take her on a date, like a proper date. But for some reason, she always like made up an excuse that she was busy and stuff. And she used to always pull the line saying, oh, like, honestly, like I have like just a lot of stuff to do. Like, I'm sorry. Which I'm gonna be for real here. When girls say that all the time, especially if you're dating them, there's definitely something off. So later on, I remember basically me and her, we were having a conversation one time while we were heading to our new class. It was the start of a new semester. And basically me and her, we ended up taking the same French class so we can hang out more with each other. Kind of cute, but at the same time, let's just say it became a lot of regret. Because I remember once we entered inside the classroom, basically me and her, we started sitting down next to each other. But one thing I noticed is that she kept getting distracted. And it wasn't distracted by me, which, you know, I wish it was, but she was more distracted by someone else. I remember I kept looking at her and kept asking her, hey, is everything all right? But basically every time the teacher would speak in front of the classroom, she would always, and I mean always, get distracted and just focus on him instead of me. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for being a good student, but getting to the point where you're almost being aroused by your teacher is kind of weird. And don't get me wrong, I've done the devil's tango with a teacher before, but honestly, that's a story for another time. Going on though, I remember basically every time me and her were having a conversation or anything, or for example, I mentioned to her, hey, like, do you want to skip this class and like go out and just hang out something? She would literally say, no, I really got to go to this class. It's very important. It's French, is what I told her. And then she said, well, I like the class, so you can go and skip without me, but I want to actually stay here. Okay, whatever, is what I said, and I ended up skipping class. I remember that day when I was skipping class though, I felt like something was off. Like, you know that gut feeling in your stomach where you know just something just doesn't feel right? That's exactly what was happening to me. So I remember right before class ended, I decided to sprint over to the French classroom that I was supposed to be in and basically see what was going on. I remember I literally looked through the window and I saw my girlfriend literally just staring at the French teacher and not even paying attention to anyone else. It became super weird, and it got to the point where I remember basically she ended up standing up after the bell rang when she was supposed to leave and walked up to the French teacher and started touching his shoulder and said, hey, like, I was wondering if you have like an after school help course that you can like help me out in. What is what I said? I found this super weird. So I remember afterwards I ended up walking inside the classroom, and I remember my girlfriend looks at me and says, oh, hey Baba, let's just leave. And then my French teacher looked super weird at me, and basically me and her, we left. I remember I looked at her and saying, why'd you ask him for a special help course at the end of class? And then she said, oh, because like I'm failing French. No, you're not, is what I said, because I knew she was not failing French. If there was any class she focused on the most this semester, was French class. So obviously something was up and she wasn't telling the truth. So I remember I looked at her again and I said, listen, if something's wrong, just tell me. But as the girl she was, she never wanted to hurt my feelings. So she said, oh, like nothing's wrong. Do you want to like go out for like sushi? Hey, she offered. So I remember me and her, we ended up going on a sushi date. I remember later that night when I went home, I was basically laying in bed thinking what was wrong with me. I was thinking that maybe like I was like doing something wrong in this relationship. And to be honest, as a helpless romantic, all I want to do is just be better in a relationship. So I remember I ended up sending a Snapchat to her saying, hey, like, do you want to like maybe come over to maybe see if we can like, you know, do the devil's tango to, you know, kind of bring back that connection that we usually had when we were doing the devil's tango. But then she ended up snapping me back saying, oh, sorry, I'm super busy with like homework. What homework is what I said. And then afterwards I realized that she was lying. She definitely was not doing homework. And don't say how I know this or, oh, I'm jumping to assumptions. Ladies, come on. It's pretty obvious when you guys are lying here. But as the nice guy I was back in high school, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I basically just thought that she was just probably just doing her homework, I guess. And I went to bed. The next morning, I remember my dad ended up waking me up super early for school and told me, hey, Bubba, you gotta go to school. You gotta go to school. I got work to do. So since he was going to work super early for some reason, I had to go with him to drop me off at school. So I ended up going to school at 7 in the morning. My class started at 8:30, and I ended up going to school almost an hour early. That's so dumb. Honestly, to this day, it really made me mad that I was at the school super early. So I remember I was just walking through the hallways doing my own thing until I saw my girlfriend already at the school. She was already at the school at her locker, and basically she just started running to French class, which is super weird because we would usually have French at the end of the school day, not before. So I remember I ended up kind of like following her and seeing what was going on, and I remember she ended up going inside the French class, and when I looked through the window, I see her walking up to my French teacher, and out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, she literally ended up making out with my French teacher in the classroom when she thought no one was there. Honestly, I was surprised that my French teacher was even gonna make out with a 16-year-old, even though he was 27, but still, something was definitely off. I remember I really wanted to walk in there in the moment, but honestly, part of me did not have the courage to. I didn't have the courage to walk in there and confront them or confront her in any way. So I remember I ended up developing a plan. At the moment when they were making out in the classroom in the beginning of the school day, I took a photo of both of them. I took a photo of them making out, and I knew one day this would come in handy. In the next following couple of weeks, I remember this girl kept asking me questions, and basically my girlfriend tried to be a girlfriend because she realized that I was drifting away from her. But she didn't seem like she really cared as much as I thought she would. You know, the more I drifted away, the more she would ask me what's going on, but at the same time, she just kept not caring, I guess. And I knew the reason for this was because she was going on dates with my French teacher. And I remember one time literally in French class, she was literally sitting in front of the classroom, not sitting beside me anymore, and just staring at my French teacher with her glazing eyes at him. It was super weird and super awkward, and I found it super uncomfortable. But what I decided to do was figure out when would be the best moment to expose this photo. And that moment came when my teacher literally said, "All right, class, we're going to be doing a presentation. You guys will be making this on PowerPoint." But when he said PowerPoint presentation, you already know what was about to go down. At that moment, I remember I basically ended up jumping on my laptop and writing down this presentation. I was basically doing the whole presentation, but at the very end of it, I remember I slapped on the photo, and I slapped on "I'm breaking up with you," and you know, just a bunch of bad stuff that I really shouldn't say on YouTube. I'm gonna be honest here. YouTube, don't demonetize me. And I remember 2 days later, out of the blue, one night before the day of the presentations happened, the girl ended up messaging me. My girlfriend at the time, I should say. And she literally said, "Hey, Bubba, listen, I don't think we're gonna work out. Like, it's not you, it's me. And like, honestly, like, I just don't think I'm ready for a relationship." At this moment, I knew this girl was absolute BS, bro. Like, no cap, bro. This girl was absolutely weird, bro. You guys have no idea how mad I am at her to this day. Like, it's disgusting. So I remember basically, I ended up just texting her saying, "I understand. It's definitely something that you gotta fix through, and I understand if you're not ready for a relationship." I kept my cool, ladies and gentlemen, because I knew that I was going to flame in the next day, basically. So I remember the next day came along, and basically French class was at the end of school day. So I remember I was hyping myself up the entire school day, basically getting ready to do this. And when my teacher in French class said, "Okay, Bubba, you're up next," I ended up going in front of the classroom. I looked at her straight in the eye. I did my presentation, and afterwards I said, "Oh wait, my presentation isn't over." I ended up looking at my ex-girlfriend and said, "By the way, did you guys know that most French teachers are pedophiles? For example, we have Mr. and actually sleeping with a student literally in this classroom. So yeah, be safe, children." At that moment, there was a little photo of them on the screen on the PowerPoint, and everyone in the classroom was freaking out saying, "Oh." And I remember at that moment, the principal actually ended up walking in and saying, "Bubba, my office now." And basically, I had to explain to the principal everything that happened, and one thing led to another. My French teacher got expelled, and my ex-girlfriend ended up hating me even more, but at the same time, she ended up getting flamed throughout the entire school year, to the point where she actually ended up switching schools. Anyways, guys, that's basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and like I always say, just follow for more embarrassing stories. Like, seriously, just do it. Peace out, guys.